Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another episode of the All In Show here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Can't wait to get into the show tonight. Can't wait to talk to you guys in the live chat and chop it up about Clemson football. A little bit of a different show for you guys tonight. My buddy Jordan Bowman. Hey, man, thanks for getting into the comment section already. Really appreciate you. He is not going to be here tonight. He has some prior engagements that he must attend to. So you guys are stuck with me for the night. I do apologize, but we will have the show. The show must go on regardless, and I will do my best to bring you guys the best show possible I can in Jordan Bowman's absence. Okay, same thing as before. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Please share the video with your friends. Share it in your college football groups. Get the word out there about me and Jordan's show. We love doing this show. We love talking about Clemson football. We love talking about college football. You guys know it. We've been here all off season, and it's only going to ramp up from here as we go into fall camp and then into the season, which we all cannot wait for. It's coming soon. But I want to thank everybody in the live chat right now. I think we got 11 people in here right now. Let's see who we got. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We got Ben Adams in the chat. Thanks for stopping by, Ben. Best Clemson show. Yes, sir. You know it. Hello from Perry, Georgia. Hey, man. Thanks for stopping by. Shout out to Perry, Georgia. Let's see, we got John in here. Chop on Braves. I'm growing out my mustache. Gonna call it. Yeah. Okay. Send us some pictures, John. Send us some pictures when you get it grown out. How you want it. We'll be sure to highlight it here on the show for sure. Tyree, what's going on, fellas? Hey, man, how you doing? Ben, everyone is good. Everyone is good, man. Appreciate it. Yep, Tricksters, let's do it. I finally got the time right. Yes, 7 p.m. every Thursday. James, every Thursday, 7 p.m. It's probably not your fault. We were hopping around there for a little bit, especially when my daughter was in softball season. Things got a little weird with the time, but this is going to be our normal time from now on through the season, in the next off season, so on and so forth. As long as me and Jordan are blessed to be on this channel and to do this show for you guys, we will try to keep this time as best we can, as long as Clemson's not playing on a Thursday night, right? Marcus says, go Dabo. Absolutely. Dabo Sweeney. Jordan Bowman, Tiger Paw Craven riding solo tonight. Miss y'all. I'll be back next week. Absolutely. Jordan Bowman will be back with us next week. You guys do not worry. I didn't run him off, at least not yet. Try to keep him around. He's our resident expert around here. So thanks for getting in here, Jordan. Appreciate you, man. Look forward to doing the show with you next week. Steel Gamble says, go Tigers. Absolutely. Go Tigers. It's always a great day to be a Clemson Tiger. And I thank you for stopping by. Does Jordan get a vacation or something? I guess so, man. You know, he's so good at what he does, he earned a vacation, So, that's a part of being really good at what you do, So Michael Foster, what's up? How you doing, man? Hope you are doing well tonight. Hope everybody is doing well tonight. Thanks, everybody, for getting in the chat so far. Hit that like button for me. Go ahead and help us out. It does help on the live videos. Also, keep in mind, this is a part of the Voice of College Football umbrella of channels, okay? Don't forget to go check out the main channel with Mark Rogers. He does a ton of stuff. That dude probably knows more about college football than anybody I've ever heard talk about college football in my life. He can break it down like none other. So go check him out. Support the main channel. He also launched merch, so go check it out. See if you can find anything you like. He's got hats, mugs, T-shirts, sweaters, the whole nine. So go check it out. Show him some love and support, along with all the other team channels. There's a lot of guys out here doing what me and Jordan do for their teams as well, and they got some interesting content as well. Things we're going to talk about on the show tonight. We're going to talk recruiting. Obviously, we'll do a recruiting update. We'll do an outlook heading into the month of July, talking about some commitment dates, some big-time commitment dates coming up for the Tigers, some kind of swing commitments, especially along the offensive line that we will get into a little bit later in the show. We'll talk about our latest commit, Ricardo Jones. You guys saw we posted on the community tab his commitment date earlier on in the week. That's a huge get for the Tigers. Can't wait to talk a little bit about him and how excited we are to have him on board of the 2024 class. It's truly shaping up to be an amazing class. We now have 13 commits. They are all high-quality players. We're currently sitting at 10th in the country, according to 247 Sports. And we only have 13 commits. If you look at a lot of the teams that are in front of us and in the 247 ranking, a lot of those teams have, 20, 22, 15, 17, a lot more commits than we do. But we have a lot of quality commits in this class so far. And we look to pick up a few more come the month of July. So we'll talk about all those. Let's see. Tim Russell says, do you think the ACC collapses soon down the road because of the absolutely terrible TV deal signed in 2016, giving TV rights away for 20 years? To be completely honest, Tim, I'm not sure. Okay. I honestly don't know what's going to go on with the ACC. They have made some terrible deals. Obviously, everybody knows the TV deal that they made. It's not a good deal. It's a terrible deal. It puts every ACC school, especially those at the top, those top performers in football, it puts us at a disadvantage. It puts us behind the eight ball when it comes to money coming into the programs. So that's a big thing. But everybody knows that we have the grant of rights deal. And if any team were to leave right now, the ACC, say Clemson was to leave the ACC right now, they do not own their TV rights. So that's a big thing. Will it eventually be fought out in court? Will they find a loophole? Will they, find a way to finagle out of it with all the legal stuff and the lawyers battling? I guess that's a possibility. But right now, I don't see that happening. Again, something could change, but I think we're heading into the season. I don't see anything happening in the immediate future. Maybe next offseason or a couple off seasons in the future, either the ACC makes a deal that makes it a stronger conference and makes it more competitive based on the TV negotiation. Again, I don't know how they do that. They're not going to negotiate a new TV deal unless we add somebody of value. And I don't really know a team out there that we could add a value. So honestly, your guess is as good as mine, Tim. I honestly don't know. It's not a good situation. If you guys know, they did do kind of a restructuring of the revenue in the ACC, and they made it incentivized based off of teams that perform well, especially in the postseason, to get a little bit bigger chunk of the pie. I know Graham Neff, the Florida State athletic director, have both talked about that. They were excited about the ACC doing that and voting that in, but they also, said that it wasn't enough. It's not enough to close the gap. It's not even close. It's a good start, but they still have a lot of work to do. What that work entails, I don't know. We're all just going to have to sit back and watch and see how it goes. Michael Foster says star rating puts us up in top 5. Yeah, like I said, the quality of recruits that we have right now. We only have 13 verbal commits right now for the 2024 class, but the quality of those recruits, we'll go through the whole list here in a few minutes. But the quality of those recruits is absolutely amazing. Let's see, James Thompson. We need some O linemen. Absolutely, I'll talk about that, James. That's one of the big things I want to talk about tonight. We need to start seeing. We need that first domino to fall along the offensive line, and there's a couple recruitment dates coming up that we'll talk about tonight. So look for some answers either way. Whether we land some of the recruits that we've been recruiting pretty hard and that we hope we land, or we're going to be expanding the offensive line board here pretty soon, probably heading towards the all-in cookout to get those guys on campus and maybe offer some new people for the 2024 class if we don't land. Because I think every single one, at least most of our offensive linemen, I got some of the dates over here written down, but most of the offensive linemen are looking to commit within the month of July. So we're going to have our answer pretty soon along the offensive line on whether or not we're going to have to expand the board. And that's going to be important headed into the all-in cookout. Steel Gamble says it feels like we're getting our edge back as a football program. Love to see it. Absolutely, Steel Gamble. We are 100% getting our edge back as Clemson football. It feels like not. I can't really say the old days because it's only been a couple years removed where our offense has really dipped, and we've looked like an offense that you don't recognize or that you don't associate Clemson football with. But if you guys saw it last night, me and Jordan Bowman were on the Not Bobby Durkins show. If you guys know Bobby Durkins, he started another channel called Not Bobby Durkins, and that's Brian Knight over there. He does amazing analysis on college football in general and Clemson football. I'm sure you guys know him. Go over there to his page, Not Bobby Durkins. Subscribe to him, give him a like, and go watch our video from last night. It was about an hour long. We talked about a ton of things in Clemson football, about the momentum that we have on the recruiting trail right now and how it just feels different. And part of that is the big change that we made at offensive coordinator. We're starting to land those big-time wide receiver commits, right, and Wesco and guys like that. So and TJ Moore. So it's the momentum's going. They got a product to sell now. The offense has a completely different outlook. We threw away that old offense that we were running. It served us well for a very long time, but now it's time to move on to a completely new scheme with a completely new offensive coordinator in Garrett Riley, and I couldn't be more excited heading into the 2023 season. John Sarian says Clemson football, Clemson, FSU, and probably, can't talk. Miami will not just stand by and watch their fortune slip away because of a crappy contract. If nothing else, they'll pay big attorney fees and force schools to match or give in. Yeah, again, who knows how it's going to shake out. I'm sure there are things going on in the background that none of us are privy to, that none of us will know about until it comes out, until it's somewhat solved. So I guarantee, I mean, that's literally these athletic directors' job, right? They're going to do the best thing for their program, for their school. And I'm sure that is exactly what Graham Neff is doing right now. What that entails, we don't know. As much as I am not a fan of Notre Dame, they would be a game changer. I am just going to keep hoping and watching the results on the field. Yeah. Again, that's an example of a school that the ACC, if they were able to add, would cause a new negotiation on the TV deal. But again, what would Notre Dame gain by joining the ACC right now is the question. And that I don't know, right? So I honestly don't see Notre Dame joining the ACC. I don't know why they would. The ACC has let Notre Dame walk all over them for years. They let them do this soft partnership that we have with them. They're in the ACC for every other sport besides football. And then we threw them a huge olive branch in 2020 when all football was canceled and the ACC decided to play. We allowed them into our conference for a season. Why we did that, I have no idea. That was the ACC's opportunity to try to force Notre Dame to do something. Not that it would have worked, but that was their opportunity, and they didn't do it. We need Satterwhite and Westfall. Yeah. I'll talk about those guys in a minute when we get into our recruiting update and the outlook heading into July. before signing day in December, we need to also keep an eye on tampering and poaching. Schools have no problem doing pay for play in the open, and if they need one more guy, they'll poach. Absolutely, and that's kind of one of the things. One of the problems, one of the many problems in college football right now. You got the NIL, and it's basically pay for play, and there's a lot of tampering. You hear coaches talk about it all the time. The tampering that goes on with players that are currently on a roster trying to be, recruited to a different roster. It happens all the time. Again, how is that solved? I don't know. I don't know the answers to that. James Thomas, I saw you guys last night. Good show. Thanks, man. Thanks for stopping by that show. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Not Bobby Durkins or Brian Knight. He's a great dude, man. And I enjoy being on his show. I started watching not Bobby Durkins like way back in the day, man. And it's just crazy where I am now. Blessed by Mark Rogers to be able to be on this channel and talk about Clemson football, and then get invited on by Bobby Durkins over there and be on his channel. It's just like a super cool full circle type thing. Never thought I'd be on YouTube talking college football, but here I am, and I enjoy it. So, Will, the Notre Dame man, thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate the support. Tim Russell and I, Sam Hartman is a game changer with improved receivers. We should be at least 10-2. Yeah, you guys definitely got an upgrade at quarterback. There's no doubt about that. Look forward to that game for Clemson this year. You guys got to come to the Valley, so that's going to be an absolutely crazy game, I'm sure, especially if Notre Dame's record is anywhere close to where you think it is, and especially if, my predictions for Clemson are going to come to fruition and our offense is going to be much improved. That's going to be a great game. Can't wait to see it. Notre Dame can't get a first-round bye in the new playoff format. No, they cannot get an automatic bye. That is reserved. That will be reserved for the the conference champions. Now we may join the Big Ten soon. Who knows? Yeah, exactly. Will, that's exactly right. I see Notre Dame joining the Big Ten way before they would ever consider joining the ACC. I don't think Notre Dame's ever joining the ACC. Notre Dame will be in the playoffs. Be in the playoffs this year still? You talking about this year? Will says you hope so. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure you do. That'd be great. Notre Dame for sure. It's in starting in 24, probably not this round though. Yeah. So yeah, this will be the last round of the inaugural 4-team college football playoff, right? I mean, this run will be over. Next season we'll start the 12-team playoff. So whoever makes the playoff this year will be the last 4 teams to ever make the 4-team playoff. So it'd be pretty cool if Clemson could pull off that feat. I'll tell you that. But thanks for everybody getting into the chat. We're already 20 minutes into the show. That's crazy. Thanks for everybody getting into the chat. Appreciate you guys interacting with me. But we're going to get into recruiting a little bit, okay? I want to talk about Clemson's recruiting so far. So I want to kind of review, I guess, the recruits that we have committed so far. Let me see if I can pull it up for you guys so you guys can follow along with me and have something else to look at other than my ugly mug, right? Let's see. There we go. Let's see if we can share this. All right. Let me get this going, guys. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, let me know if you guys can see that on the screen. You guys should be able to see it. So, all right, well, we got the Clemson 2024 football commits so far. Okay, so as I told you guys before, we're using Clemson 247, the 247 ranking. So we are overall number 10 class so far in this recruiting cycle, headlined by, as you see here, we got Brian Wesco, one of our big-time receivers. And this goes back to talking about the buzz that's around Clemson football right now. When you're getting guys like Brian Wesco, when you're getting guys down here like TJ Moore, those are big time gets, right? Excuse me. We talked about it on the Not Bobby Durkin show last night. That's a direct result of Dabo Sweeney pulling the trigger, looking back at last season after the dust was settled, after the season was over, when he does his program review that he says he does every single year. He looked back, and I said it on the show last night. I don't think he liked what he saw. So what did he do? He did something that I didn't think he was going to do. He fired Brandon Streeter after his first year of being the offensive coordinator. He knew he could look and see that it was not going to work. Another season wasn't going to solve the offensive issues that Clemson had and make Brandon Streeter, suddenly an amazing offensive coordinator, right? And I'm not disrespecting Brandon Streeter at all. I love Brandon Streeter. He was a quarterback for Clemson. He's been at Clemson a long time. He is definitely a Clemson man through and through. And I hope he goes on to have a successful coaching career. It just did not work out as an offensive coordinator for Clemson. So Dabo Sweeney sees that. He goes out, makes one of the biggest hires of the offseason, and grabs Garrett Riley, right? And now you see the results on the recruiting trail because our coaches could always recruit. We never had a problem recruiting as far as our coach's ability to recruit. But now, just like Jordan was saying last night, we have an offense to sell to recruits, to people like Brian Wesco, to people like TJ Moore, right? These big time skill guys, Christian Bentiker, right? These big time skill guys that are going to help us take the offense to the next level and get Clemson's offense much more close to something that resembles the Clemson offense that we know and love from all of those playoff runs, right? So bringing in Garrett Riley is what allowed that to happen. Now we have an offense and a scheme that young players and young recruits, young high school guys can get excited about. They can see themselves excelling in this new version of Clemson's offense, this Garrett Riley version of Clemson offense. And now we're landing guys like Brian Wesco and TJ Moore, and guys like that are starting to say yes, right? Everybody knows we had the big June 2nd recruiting event where Sammy Brown committed the very following Monday. And that kind of started this snowball, and it's been heading downhill, building momentum. I mean that in a good way, building momentum ever since, right? So we got Brian Wesco, big-time wide receiver, Sammy Brown, elite linebacker, Christian Bentiker. He's been committed for a little while, right? He committed back in January. Our most recent one, I'll break him down a little bit more here in a minute. Ricardo Jones. Again, I already mentioned TJ Moore, big-time, 6'3", 190-pound receiver out of Tampa, Florida. And then you got Darian Mayo. We talked about him last week on the show. You got Evan Brown, right? Schuler, big-time commit out of Atlanta, Georgia. Noah Dixon. So he pairs up with our newest recruit, Ricardo Jones, as our safety. That's the future of the Clemson defensive backfield. So those dudes are going to be quite the duo back there. And he's been committed for a long time, since January as well. Tavoy Fegan, Champ Thompson. I just read an article about Champ Thompson. That dude is he's in the weight room, man. He's in there putting up work. He is transforming his body before he ever gets to Clemson. And in my mind, a guy like that that's willing to put that work in when he's in high school, just wait till he gets to a place like Clemson with the strength and conditioning coaches that we have, with the nutritionists that we have, with the whole just system and the overall just umbrella of the recovery, the nutrition, and the weightlifting that he's going to then come into. If he's willing to put that work in before he even gets here, he's going to be an animal once he gets into our strength and conditioning program. And then you got David Azamume, really, really good running back out of Kennesaw, Georgia. And then obviously Drew Woodaz, the brother of Wade Woodaz, our linebacker. And then obviously the kicker that we got committed already. So that right there is our class so far. So we got a ton of recruits there, a ton of guys that are just waiting to get on campus. Again, you look at the star rating of all of those guys. You look at the quality of this class so far. It's pretty amazing. So let's go. Let's talk a little bit about our newest recruit. Let me get you guys here. Ricardo Jones, right? Excuse me. 1 second. All right, so this is Ricardo Jones right here. All right, so obviously a safety, talked about it. 6'3", 200 pounds out of Warner Robins, Georgia. Clemson's gotten a few good recruits out of there. This dude is an absolute game changer. What's Clemson getting in this guy? They're getting a guy that's capable and willing to come down on run support and really hit guys in the mouth. He's good in coverage. He's really just a guy that can that can do it all. I mean, he's really the full package when it comes to being a safety. I'm glad we got him. I'm glad he's on our team. Now, last year, his junior season, he had a little bit of a injury-riddled junior season. I think he only played in 5 games his junior season last year, but he had 6 interceptions in those 5 games. So it tells you, that right there tells you the effect that this guy has on the game when he's there, right? He's a multi-sport athlete, right? He plays really well. Basketball, I think he averaged like 16 points per game as a junior. He's really good at the cover 2 defense, right? Takes really good angles in run support. He's downhill. He runs. He's willing to put his face in there and make the tackles. And he's also good in coverage, right? And he did an interview where he mentioned Isaiah Simmons and kind of how he loved how he was a hybrid and how Clemson kind of used him. And he could kind of see himself doing some similar things to that. So this guy has 12 interceptions overall in his high school career, 6 last season in only 5 games. So if he can stay healthy, if he can put together a full season of high school football for his senior year, he's only going to develop. He's only going to get better. And I'm so glad that we have Ricardo Jones as a Tiger. It's a great day to be a Clemson Tiger. And we just get another recruit. So that's our latest one. Now we got a couple recruits. I want to talk a little bit about the offensive line, right? So the offensive line for Clemson right now, we brought 6 guys in the we brought 6 guys in to the big recruiting weekend on June 2nd, okay? And those guys were Fletcher Westfall, 4-star. 4-star William Satterwhite, 4-star Michael Uni, 4-star Casey Poe, 3-star Jamison Riggs, and 3-star Ronan O'Connell. Okay, those are the guys that we brought in on the June 2nd recruiting class. Okay, Clemson still currently has no offensive linemen committed in the 2024 class. Okay, now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that the board for offensive line will probably have to expand at some point. I believe the number for Clemson on the offensive line is 3 for this recruiting cycle, for the 2024 cycle. So if we don't get 3 of those guys, the board's going to have to expand, and we're probably going to have to use the all-in cookout weekend to kind of close out. That's kind of the closeout for the summer heading into fall camp to kind of, offer some new guys and maybe get some new guys on campus, or maybe get some guys that aren't committed yet back on campus to try to close the deal, okay? So the first guy coming up, the first offensive lineman coming up to commit is going to be Michael Uni, okay? He seems to be leaning Michigan, but he's going to commit this Friday, okay? He's going to commit this Friday, so we're going to know Friday whether Michael Uni's on board with the Tigers or he's going to be a Michigan Wolverine. Okay. The other guy, let's see, we got Fletcher Westfall. His commitment date is July 10th. Okay. So his commitment date is July 10th. Again, I'm hoping the Tigers can land him. I'm hoping we can land at least 2 of these guys and then maybe expand the board for 1 more. He's one of the guys that we're definitely in the thick of things for. And then you got the next domino that will fall will probably be Casey Poe. He's looking to commit on July 12th. He just had a visit with Alabama. They seem to be kind of leading that. Maybe, maybe not. You don't really know. He's kind of, you don't really know where he's going to go, but it seems to be that maybe he's an Alabama lean. Maybe that's just because he finished up with Alabama. I don't really know where he's going to go. And then next you got William Satterwhite. Okay. He doesn't have a hard date that I know of. I tried to find one, but it just basically he's narrowed it down. It's going to be early July. So sometime early July. So maybe he commits before Westfall or Poe. I don't know how early July he's looking to commit, but it says early July, and it's really between us and Tennessee for Satterwhite. So I think Clemson's probably done enough to get him. But again, I read an article where he was talking really good about Tennessee, and it didn't sound good for Clemson. But again, that's the thing about recruiting. I've just started following recruiting really closely. Like this past year, Jordan Bowman's helped me get into it, and it's really up and down, man. When these guys go to, they go to Clemson, they're like, man, I love it, it's great, and then they go to another place on an official visit, and it's the ebbs and flows of recruiting. But he's going to commit early July. So there's a dead period until July 24th. The all-in cookout will probably be the last weekend of July, because then the dead period picks back up in August 1st, right? So that last weekend in July is probably when Clemson's going to host the all-in cookout. And it looks like we're going to probably have to expand the board for offensive linemen. And we're probably going to have to identify that early on in July with all these commitments that I'm talking about that are already on the books to happen. Now, if Clemson gets them, great. If not, that means we're going to have to expand the board, and hopefully, I'm assuming they're going to expand the board prior to the all-in cookout and then try to get those guys on campus for the all-in cookout. You guys remember back to last year's all-in cookout, it was kind of a already committed party. It was basically the entire class just got together and hung out for a weekend. They were all already committed. They were just building relationships and stuff like that. Let's see, who else do we have along the offensive line? We got O'Connell and Riggs. They look to make July decisions, not really specific times for them, but they're looking to commit sometime in July as well. So those are all the offensive linemen that we currently have offered, and all the ones that we brought onto campus for the June 2nd official visit. Every single one of them are looking to commit in the month of July. So hopefully they all make their decision prior to the all-in cookout, or maybe if O'Connell and Riggs are kind of holding out to the end, maybe we can get them back on campus for the all-in cookout and maybe close the deal. But we're going to know here in the next couple weeks if we're going to start, if that first domino falls for us along the offensive line. And then let's see, moving on to edge. Houston, he's looking to commit August 22nd. He's a possible guy that Clemson could bring back onto campus for the all-in cookout. Edric Houston. Again, we're in a pretty fierce battle with Michigan for him, so he's a possible guy that we could get back on campus. And I'm sure if he's willing to come back, Clemson will extend the invite to him. And then you got Solomon Williams, edge rusher. He plans to visit during the season for Clemson. So he plans to come to a game. He's a guy that's going to drag it out a little bit further into the season, a little bit further into the recruiting cycle. So we'll see what's going on there. Big name that I'm sure you guys have been following for a while and are pretty anxious about is Mike Matthews. He is also looking to make a July decision. I don't have an exact date on him either, but he's looking to make a July decision, and that's going to be huge. If we can get him as an athlete and bring him on, that is going to be absolutely amazing. I think we're still in the running for him. I hope we get him. If you guys listen to Jason Priester, he's made it clear, in his opinion, we're going to get to 3 wide receivers somehow in this cycle. And he thinks that if Mike Matthews committed to Clemson, the coaching staff would not say no. We've already hit our number for wide receivers, which is 2, but he believes that they would bring him on as an athlete or make it work in some other way. So then you also got cornerback Corian Gibson. He's going to commit in July as well. So basically, a whole lot of the guys that we have left on our board for this class are looking to commit in July. So July could be an even bigger month, possibly than the month of June, if that's even possible. But we got a ton of guys that are looking to commit in the month of July. We're in some pretty big battles with all of them. So look for the momentum to continue to build. Like I said, it snowballed. It started with Sammy Brown, and it has snowballed all the way to our latest recruit, Ricardo Jones. And I don't think we're going to slow down. I think we're going to hit some of these commits, maybe not all. I listened to Jason Priester a couple of days ago, and he made it seem like we are probably going to have to expand our board for the offensive line. So maybe we get a couple of those guys. Maybe we only get one of those guys. But we need that first domino to fall for sure along the offensive line. We had a pretty good class last year, but we need to continue that. John Sarian says, beating FSU for the first time will be the hardest, in my humble opinion. You guys talking about the Knowles. Okay, yeah. All right, so that's kind of our recruiting update. That's kind of what I had for you guys, letting you guys know who's recruiting when, who's planning on making their commitment date, and when. So that kind of wraps up our recruiting for this show. Now I want to move on to a guy that's been in the program for a very long time, and that is Greg Williams. I'm sure you guys heard that Greg Williams decided to step away from the team permanently. He is no longer with the Clemson Tigers as a football player, which, let's talk a little bit about Greg Williams first. Let's talk a little bit about Greg Williams first, and then we'll get into kind of what it means for Clemson. Let me know in the comments section what you guys think about Greg Williams leaving the program. You guys think it's a big deal, any deal at all? What's your thoughts on it? Did you see it coming? And what effect do you think it has on the Tigers? And while you guys are doing that, I'll bring you guys back and tell you a little bit about Greg Williams. So he was one of the top linebackers in South Carolina, played in the Shrine Bowl in 2018. He was a big prospect in the state of South Carolina. I think he was number 12 in the state. Clemson landed him, obviously. He came to Clemson. He hasn't had a ton of success at Clemson. He's kind of been buried on the depth chart for his entire career. He's totaled 18 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 pass breakup, and he's had 168 snaps over 19 career games. So just last season, he played in 4 games. Yeah, he played in 4 games. He had 31 snaps total for the entire season and only 4 tackles. I think he played against Furman, played against Boston College, and a couple other games as well. But he hasn't had a ton of success in the Clemson program. He's kind of been buried on the depth chart. And I think the kind of one of the things that really got him was the return of the edge rushers that we had return this year, right? So he's a guy that was probably going to be depth for Clemson's edge this season. But again, you got guys returning. You got experience returning. You got those guys coming back. And, he's a guy that hasn't been able to carve out a lot of playing time. He's also a graduate. He graduated last year with a criminal justice degree, I think. And I think at this point he's just decided to move on. Now, what does that mean for Clemson? One way, or one, I guess one way you could look at it is the scholarship issue. Yeah, Michael Foster says it. Does it get us under the 85 scholarships? No, it does not, Michael. It does not get us under the 85 scholarships. We were two above before this happened. So we were at 87. Now we're down to 86. There's one more scholarship we have to trim prior to the start of the 2023 season to get down to that 85 where we need. Okay, so it does help from that standpoint. It frees up a scholarship and it makes us a little bit closer, one step closer to that 85, right? The other way you can look at it is I think he just realizes that football's over for him. He's got a great degree. He will always be a Clemson Tiger. He's a graduate. I'm sure he's made tons and tons and tons of connections at Clemson with the Paul Journey and all the micro internships that Clemson does. They do an amazing job to prepare these guys after football. And for whatever reason, for Greg Williams, it just didn't work out, right? It wasn't his time. He never seemed to get it going at Clemson. But what I will say is he stuck it out, man. He was there. He produced when he was on the field as best he could. He could never really crack the rotation at defensive end. But again, he put in his time. He got a great degree, and he's graduated from one of the best universities in the country, in my opinion. And he's probably going to go have a great career doing whatever he wants to do. I'm assuming it's going to be something in criminal justice, since that was his degree plan. But honestly, I don't know what he wants to do. I think he's probably just ready to move on from football and turn the chapter and start focusing on his career. But it is bittersweet to see a guy like that go. You would have thought that this would have been the year 2023. You would have thought looking at the depth or the lack of depth that we have at edge, you would have thought that he could have kind of cracked the rotation somewhat this year, maybe got a little bit more playing time, but obviously he didn't feel that way, right? You got XT coming back. You got Justin Maskell coming back. You got Denhoff, Zaire Patterson, right? Those guys are kind of sitting there as well. And then you got Peter Woods as well, right? Freshman. He's a tackle, but I could honestly see Peter Woods flexing out to defensive end or edge this year and helping because of our depth issues out there. So while it does solve some of the issues that Clemson has as far as scholarships, it does create more of a depth issue, right? He is a guy in the rotation that, albeit he didn't play a ton, but he has been in the system for a very long time. He knows it in and out. And he was a depth guy for us this year. And that's really not a position that we would like to lose depth at, right? It's probably one of the positions that we can't afford to lose any depth at the most this year. So, again, there's some good and bad that comes with it. But I really do just wish Greg Williams the best. I hope he has an amazing career in whatever he decides to do. And, he's a Clemson man for life. He came in. He kept his head down. He worked. He graduated, and he did what he had to do. Was he a top performer on the field? No, but that doesn't matter. He came in and did what he was supposed to do. So, Jacob says, man, I think Peter Woods is going to have a great freshman year. I agree. I think he's going to have – if the coaches are telling the truth, and I assume that they are, I think he's going to have a great freshman year. Peter Woods is just a guy. I mean, you heard Dabo Swinney talk about him in the spring. He's just a guy that you're looking at, and it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to keep him off the field. But again, think about the tackle position. We also have a lot of depth there, which is why I could see him maybe move to edge, maybe get some playing time out there, right? Because you got Tyler Davis, Ruka Rohoro, and all those guys in the tackle position. But he's definitely going to be on the field. Dabo already said it. He's going to play. How much he plays, that's yet to be seen. What I will say while we're talking about defensive and our edge guys is Xavier Thomas, man. I really hope he has a killer season, man. The guy's been through the ringer with health issues, with injuries. He had the foot injury last year, and he tried to come back from it and tweaked it again. Then he was out for the rest of the season. So I just really hope he can stay healthy. He's a guy that's been through a ton of adversity. He's talked about, the struggles that he's had with his mental health, the struggles that he's had physically. He got COVID and it really messed him up for a really extended amount of time. He did not recover well from it. He gained a bunch of weight, went through kind of a depressed, stage in his life where he really had to push through. And then last year he comes back. He looked great. He looked like he was in amazing shape. And then the foot injury, right? So I really hope he can just have a good season under his belt. Parker as well. Probably passed by his freshman. Yeah, exactly. TJ Parker. Yeah, absolutely. Passed by. I look for him to get playing time this year as well. So honestly, Greg Williams probably just saw that he was buried on the depth chart once again. He was getting passed by much younger players, and he probably just decided, you know what, it's time to hang it up. It's time to focus on my career. So good for him being self-aware. Good for him being, okay enough and not putting his worth into football completely and knowing that, his life is more than football, and now he can move on and he can go have a great career and use all the great connections and all the great business owners that are former Clemson grads and all that stuff and go make a whole bunch of money for himself. Let's see. I think our defense this year will give a lot of teams trouble. Yes, I'm rooting for Xavier Thomas, my brother. Yes, absolutely, man. One of my favorite players, man. I'm rooting for him this season. I think our defense will be much improved this year. If you look at our defense from last year, they definitely underperformed, especially in a couple games. You think about the Notre Dame game where we just kind of got blown off the ball repeatedly. That was embarrassing. I don't see that happening again this season. At least I would hope not. And then you look at our secondary, right? We suffered through a ton of injuries last year, but guys like Jaden Lucas got experience. Guys like Toriano Pride got experience. Sherrod Colville got experience, right? These guys in the secondary, guys that wouldn't have got as many snaps as they did, they got snaps because of injuries. Nate Wiggins, a guy that grew up before our eyes last year, right? And really improved from game one to, the final game of the season. Really improved. Probably going to be our best corner this year. So you see that growth from some of those young guys. Our two deep in the secondary is going to be really, it's going to be really, really good this year. So for that's why I think our defense is going to be so scary, is because we can rotate that secondary out, and the guys coming in as backups, as our two deep, have a ton of experience because of last year, right? And then you got Makuba moving back into his more natural position. You got Barrett Carter coming back, Jeremiah Trotter. We've already talked about the defensive line guys coming back. Only issue I really see on the defense is the depth at edge. But I think that we can flex some guys and maybe solve some of that, some of those issues. Denhoff has a big year for depth at defensive end. I really hope so. I really like Denhoff. I watched an interview with him. I forget who did an interview, but it was really cool to just hear him talk about him back in high school and his recruiting process and, kind of where he is and what he's working on in the offseason. I don't remember who it was, but you guys, I'm sure, can go find it on YouTube. It's a pretty good interview with Cade Denhoff. It's like an hour long. Pretty good insight into who he is as a player. All the guys you just mentioned, they are going to have a lot to prove to many. Can't wait to see them. Absolutely. The defense has a ton to prove. Look, they underperformed last year. And guess what? I'll also say Wes Goodwin, right? First-time defensive coordinator last season. And I know you hear people talk about all the time. When they mention Wes Goodwin, one of the first things they mention is how smart he is and how much he understands defense and the X's and the O's, and he can break down any play and any coverage and solve any offense and all this stuff, right? And that's probably true. And he sat under Brent Venables for a long time. And I think he was 100% qualified for the job when Dabo Swinney gave it to him. However, you got to think, he was still a first-time defensive coordinator. It's a lot different when you're just the guy in the back helping the defensive coordinator come up with solutions, right? And then when you're the guy down on the field calling plays every single play, and you're the guy when something goes wrong, or when there's a busting coverage, or when there's a mistake, or when there's an offense that's doing something that a tweak needs to be made, and you need to solve something during halftime in order to get an offense out of their rhythm, they're looking to you. That's different, and that's not easy. So I think Wes Goodwin, although he did okay last year, I think he learned a lot. I think he learned his coaching style. I think he learned how best to approach the players and relate to the players. I think he learned a lot about being a play caller on defense for the first time in his career at a major college football program. And I think that serves him well as well, right? Just like our secondary, those young guys improved as the year went on and got better and better and better. So did Wes Goodwin, right? And I think he learned a lot, and I think he'll carry it over. And I think he'll have a much improved season as a defensive coordinator. Not that he was terrible or anything like that, but there's always room for improvement. He's definitely going to be ready. He's definitely going to be ready. I think he's going to be a really good recruiter for Clemson, hopefully for a long time. Garrett Riley, I don't think he'll be at Clemson too terribly long. I think he really does have head coaching aspirations, and he wants to do that pretty quickly. I see him at Clemson, maybe 2 to 3 years at the most. 3 years at the most, definitely probably 2 years. I hope he doesn't leave after this season, but you never know. College football is an ever-evolving thing. It's fluid. He could absolutely leave. So that kind of wraps up the show tonight for me, guys. I know it's a little bit of a short show, but I don't have my buddy Jordan Bowen with me here tonight. If you guys got any questions for me, get them in the comment section. I'll give you another minute or two to get those questions in. But I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. I appreciate you guys showing up. It means a ton. Michael Foster says, Pride and Lucas will play a lot this year. Keep Makuba at safety where he excels. Exactly. That's exactly what I was talking about, Michael. Getting Makuba back to his natural position. Pride and Lucas got a ton of experience last year. That's going to be our 2 deep, right? And that's an amazing 2 deep to have. It's going to be really good. Really good to have guys like that many guys that you can roll out there. When you're talking about some of the defense and some of the quarterbacks we're playing. If you look at Clemson's schedule, man, they're playing. It's not an easy schedule. It's not a gimme schedule. It's not the usual cakewalk schedule that Clemson plays. There's a lot of good quarterbacks we're playing. There's a lot of good teams. Some good defenses out there, man. So we got some tough stretches on the schedule, and we're definitely going to need that depth that we developed last year. It was a little bit painful to watch it develop last year at times, but it will pay dividends this season. Seems like Dabo has a plan for 2 or 3 years from Riley too. Yeah, look, I 100% believe that Dabo is already planning for Garrett Riley's exit. He knows. I'm sure they've already had the conversation, and I'm sure, I would hope that Garrett Riley is upfront with Dabo, and I'm sure he was. And he probably expressed his desire to be a head coach. Dabo Swinney knows that, so I'm sure he's already working on plans and doing things in the background to be ready to pivot when Garrett Riley ultimately does decide to leave Clemson for a head coaching position. And if he does leave Clemson for a head coaching position, that probably means he did a really good job, and our offense is looking a whole lot closer to 2018 than it is to 2021 and 2022. So we can always hope. I give Garrett Riley 2 years at most at Clemson. Yeah, like I said, 2 years, 3 max. Wouldn't be surprised if it's just 2 years. Great job riding solo. Thanks, Will, man. I appreciate you coming out and supporting. Y'all go check out Will. He's got his own YouTube channel. He also does stuff for Mark Rogers all the time. Go check out Will, the Notre Dame man. He does great content over there. So go check him out. Show him some love. Hit that subscribe button for him. And do all that. Where is Jordan tonight? Jacob, Jordan had some prior engagements with his family that he had to go do. So I had to ride solo on the show tonight. I gave it my best shot. Hopefully, it's not the worst show you guys have ever seen. But he will be back next week. Don't worry, Jordan hasn't gone anywhere. He'll be back next Thursday, 7 p.m., with our next episode of the All In Show. So fret not, he will return. What wide receiver steps up and takes our offense to another level? That's a good question. That's a really good question. I think there's a couple possibilities, right? I really like Bo Collins. I think he's played really well outside of being injured. He has struggled with drops at times. However, I think he could have a massive season. I really do. I think he could step up and have a massive season. Obviously, Antonio Williams, I think he's going to continue to grow. And then you look for an Adam Randall, right? A guy that had so much, I don't want to say hype, but the coaches were really talking him up last season. And then obviously the ACL tear, and he really didn't shake back as quickly as maybe we would have wanted him to. But hopefully he's had a full off season. He's a full go. I could see Adam Randall being a breakout player. Obviously, Cole Turner made some flashes late last season. You could see the speed that Cole Turner has. He's going to be a problem, especially if you put that guy in the slot and run him down the field. And then don't forget, Garrett Riley really likes to use his tight ends. So don't forget our man Brenningstool, right? 6'6". 6'6". That dude is a problem. If you run the proper schemes, you run some middle routes with a guy like Jake Brenningstool, 6'6", against some linebackers, that's going to be a problem. That's a nightmare for defenses to deal with, especially when you got speed on the field like Antonio Williams, and then if Adam Randall and Bo Collins can kind of put it together, and then you obviously got other incoming freshmen that can make an impact. We'll just kind of see. I think we'll have more answers on maybe the incoming freshmen coming out of fall camp, right? So fall camp's coming up. I think we'll know kind of how those young guys are really looking, and maybe it's one of those dudes that step up, right? It really could be. Mike Foster, Kyle Richardson will take over when Riley leaves. Air raid guy. You know what? I could see that happening. I could 100% see that happening, Michael. That's actually, yeah, I agree. I could definitely see Kyle Richardson taking over. That's his system. He's run that in high school before, and he's probably sitting here learning everything that Garrett Riley knows. And I'm sure that may be Dabo Swinney's plan. Everybody knows he likes to promote from within. So if Riley can help deliver a natty, we will call it even. Absolutely. Look, if he delivers a natty in the next 2 seasons, or if he delivers a natty and then bounces out, hey man, appreciate you. You did exactly what we wanted you to do when you came here. You brought recruits here. We got a national title. Wish you the best, right? I will have no problem with that at all. Zero issues. Thanks, Jacob. Appreciate it, man. I'm going to start posting more stuff on my channel. It'll be good. Would love to have you guys on soon. Hey, Will, just let us know. Me and Jordan will come on whenever we can. You guys go check out Will's channel. Appreciate you, man. Adam Randall will be the guy. Looks healthy. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. If he can be a full go, he struggled last year. Didn't really do much. He got in a couple games. But again, he was still recovering from that ACL injury. So look for him to have a bigger season. I think Bo and Randall and Williams take the roof off of teams in this new. Absolutely. I think this scheme is really good. And this scheme's going to fit Cade Klubnik to a T, I believe. I think it's going to be really, really good for him. Ty Brown, Noble Johnson, absolutely. And those are the young guys I'm talking about this fall. We will really see, Dabo calls the summer the transformational phase, right? He has exit meetings with these guys after spring. He tells them, hey, you need to work on this, that, and the other. Transformational phase, and then roll into fall camp in the season. So we'll see a lot of those young guys. We'll see if they've stepped up, done the off-season work that they were supposed to do, And believe me, it's not out of the realm of possibility that one of those two guys are the breakout receiver of the year, right? So, forgot about the dude Turner. Yeah, Cole Turner, man, don't sleep on Cole Turner. That dude has some amazing speed. He's really fast. You saw it in the spring game when he shot like right down the middle of the field, and then Kate Klubnik kind of undershot him, and the pass ended up being broken up, but he had beat his guy. Kate just didn't get it to him. So that would be nice. Our tight ends are matchup absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Jake Brennestool at 6'6", with Garrett Riley's scheme. Look, man, Jake Brennestool is going to be a problem this year if they use him correctly. He is going to be a problem. No doubt. Jake gets the next Brock. But hey, look, I hope so. You won't hear me complaining. I'm sure you guys heard me and Jordan all last season talking about exploit the middle of the field. Exploit the middle of the field. And they did it a couple times, and then they would just completely go away from it. And it would work when they did it. And then, they would go away from it, and it's the most frustrating thing you've ever watched. But you guys all watch the games. You guys know. So I don't need to rehash it. Yeah, have a good night, Jacob. Appreciate you for stopping by, man. Riley can't leave till we get another ring. Look, I hope we get a ring with Riley, because that means we're going to win within the next 2 years, maybe 3. Brenningstool grew. He is 6'7" now. I did not know that. Yeah, exactly. Red zone nightmare. Absolutely. Just toss the ball up and let him go get it, man. If Turner picks up a few pounds, he could be could have a great sophomore. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about the summer, man. The summer is all about the transformational phase, putting in that work so that you're ready for the season. Can't wait for some football. Look, man, none of us can wait. None of us can wait for football to be back. I can absolutely not wait. I'm so jacked up about Clemson football right now. Our recruiting is going crazy right now. We have a new identity on offense finally. Dabo Swinney has brought in the right coach, and I think we are going to have a really, really good bounce back season. I know we were, 10-3 last year, and that's nothing to be, ashamed of, but it wasn't about the record necessarily. It was about how we lost some of the games, and it was also about how the offense looked. Was it improved from 2021? Sure. Was it anywhere remotely good enough based off the talent that we have on the roster? Absolutely not. Unacceptable offensive performance based off of talent that Clemson has. So glad Dabo made the move. Can't wait to see it on the field come this fall. And I'm telling you, they better watch out. Tigers are coming back, man. We're coming back. Just joined. How confident are y'all on getting Matthews? Again, I don't know. I could definitely see. I'm not super confident. I'll be honest. I'm not super confident. But I do think we are in the running for Matthews. I think they would bring him on as an athlete because we've already signed our number of 2 wide receivers this cycle. But he's a guy you can't say no to. And I think Clemson's 100% in it with him, and it would be amazing. I think we got a good chance, but I'm not super, super confident, right? But I hope we get him. Yeah, DP, 2 months to go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm excited to see Cade's progress. Full offseason as QB1 with a progressive OC. Yeah, look. Cade's gonna be just fine. I know there's question marks. Look, you can look at the UNC game last year, and then you can look at the Tennessee game last year, and you can look there and you can wonder. You can be like, which Cade Klubnik are we gonna get? I believe it's going to be a lot closer to the UNC version Cade Klubnik than the Tennessee version of Cade Klubnik that we got, right? That's just my opinion. I think Garrett Riley will figure it out. He will put Cade Klubnik in advantageous positions to make the right reads and the right plays and to keep this Clemson offense on schedule. People buying Duke season tickets just to get Clemson tickets for the opener. Can't wait. Absolutely. I was looking. It's funny you mentioned that. I was looking at Duke tickets last night to go to that game. So I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger and go, but I may be at that game. But regardless, we'll be here for the live post game reaction. I want to make. Mike. Oh, I want Mike so bad and Bolden. Yeah, I don't know about Bolden. Again, we were gonna take two safeties, and we have two safeties now. So I don't know about KJ Bolden. I don't know what that means for him. I think he's probably a Georgia lean. And then I think the Georgia quarterback. I can't remember his name, but the Georgia quarterback is transferring to KJ Bolden's high school. So again, I don't know, but I think we got a better chance with Mike Matthews for sure. Per Jason Priester, Matthews' mom loved Clemson, so we got a shot. Yeah, like I said, I think we got a good shot with Mike Matthews. But again, I'm not going to say like, oh, I'm super confident we're going to get him. I'm really not confident, but I'm hopeful, and I think Clemson's got a good shot. Tennessee wasn't really Cade's fault. Streeter put too much of a load on him. Yeah. Pause. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't a good game plan. And I think that was one of the catalysts for Dabo Swinney making the call that he did to get rid of Brandon Streeter. I don't think it was the only thing. I don't think, because that would just be an emotional decision based off of one game. It was the cumulative things that happened throughout the season with Brandon Streeter. But the Tennessee game definitely showed that we were nowhere near where we needed to be from a scheme or a play calling standpoint. And Dabo made the call. John, our Michigan buddies in the chat, thanks for stopping by, man. We appreciate it. We're about to wrap up the show, but we appreciate you stopping by. Agree with Will. Hosting solo isn't easy. Nice going. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. The chat's helping me out. Look, the chat's sitting here having a full-on conversation with me, so they're helping me out a ton, man. Otherwise, I'd be all over the place and probably doing way worse than I already am. So appreciate you stopping by, John. You guys go check out the Michigan channel. Our boy John over there, man, he does a bunch of good content. I pop over there on all of his live shows whenever I can. So you guys go check him out. Great college football YouTuber right there. Him and Will both. Yeah, howdy, John. All right, main thing, Cade needs to work on not leaving the pocket. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. But again, that comes with growth. That comes with time. I'm sure they identified that heading into the spring. I'm sure they worked on it. I'm sure he's working on it in the summertime. And they're getting a grasp of the new offense. And that'll definitely be one of the things that he definitely needs to improve on in the 2023 season. Cade played with no pressure versus UNC. Tennessee had us figured out. Yep. He didn't feel any pressure. Gamecocks in the house supporting my Clemson teammate. Yeah, man, Twisted Rooster. I appreciate you stopping by, brother. Hey, we might need to get you on. Me and Jordan might need to get you on to do a Clemson, South Carolina breakdown, like a preseason breakdown on those two schools off season and kind of how it's been going. I think that'd be a really cool show if you're interested in doing that. Me and Jordan would love to chop it up with our old Gamecock buddy over there and get your viewpoint of not only the Tigers but what's going on with the South Carolina Gamecocks over there. John, yes, Michigan Wolverines live every Wednesday, 5 p.m. And the Big Ten live Mondays, 6 to 10. So you guys go check that out, okay? It's a lot of good content. I know this is mainly a channel full of Clemson fans, but believe me, you will not regret it. They got really good content over there. And I just like to know all things college football, so I always drop over on all these dudes' channels just to get a little bit of perspective. For Big Ten, we have Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, from 6 to 8 Eastern. And I host the Ocho. Man, John's over there doing it all, guys. I'm telling you, he is doing it all. So y'all go check him out. Twisted Rooster. Anytime, my friend. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So myself or Jordan will hit you up, and we'll try to work out a date, work out a time where all of us can get together and do a show together. It'd be really cool, I think. Can't wait to see our backs more involved too. Our ground game is going to be fun to watch. Absolutely, and that's one of the questions heading into the 2023 season. Right? Is one, the offensive line, right? Replacing the left tackle, replacing Jordan McFadden is going to be a big ask, but we're also returning 4 of our 5 starting offensive linemen, right? So some ability for those guys to have a lot more continuity coming into this season, a better scheme, and everybody knows we got a killer backfield with Will Shipley and Phil Maffa. Those are 2 grown men back there, especially Phil Maffa. That dude, I would not want to tackle him at all. 0% chance I would want to tackle that dude. He seems to just get stronger as the game goes on. And then obviously the athleticism of Will Shipley to catch the ball out of the backfield, to do all of the things that he does with his crazy hurdles and all that stuff. We got a killer backfield, and we got a deep backfield as well. So, yeah, our ground game, I think, will be much improved. And everybody calls Garrett Riley's system air raid, right? But he ran the ball 54% of the time last year with TCU. So he does run the ball. It's not all just, throwing the ball down the field and air raid. Yeah, John, appreciate you, man. Oh, everyone hit that like button for sure. Hit that like button. Help me out. Get as many likes on this video as we can. That helps the channel out. That helps the Voice of College Football umbrella out and everything that all of us do here under the Voice of College Football umbrella. So Garrett Riley should have the offense in a better place. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. He kicked our butt in the play. Yeah. That was an interesting game, John, man. I don't it was a little surprising, I think, for me anyway. Not that I didn't think they wouldn't score or anything like that, but I don't know. Just how everything happened in that game was a little surprising to me. Maffa is criminally underrated. I tend to agree with you, Pat. I tend to agree with you. Not going to lie, low-key Maffa better than Shipley. Ooh, hot take by Isaac over here. Phil Maffa better than Will Shipley. All right, okay. Hot take over here. Anybody agree with Isaac? Any more info on LT, or are they going to have to reshuffle the O-line again? I don't know, honestly. I think we'll know more after fall camp, to be completely honest, of what our solid 5 is going to be. Our first, I guess I'll say our first out there 5, because they're going to rotate the offensive line. There's going to be guys that get playing time and stuff like that. But our first 5, that'll definitely we'll know more early on in fall camp. I think we'll get a lot of good answers on that. Going to say hi to Corey Betta in a bit. Yes, sir. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for the show tonight. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Been on an hour and 17 minutes already. The chat has been going crazy. I really do appreciate you guys all coming out. It's been an amazing show. I was a little bit nervous about doing the show tonight, especially without my boy Jordan Bowman here. But we made it happen. The show went on. I think it was an okay show. I appreciate all you guys coming out. Please be back here next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Me and Jordan Bowman will be here. Hopefully we have some more big-time recruiting news. to tell you guys. But until next time, I'm Tiger Paul Craven. You guys enjoy your night. I'll see you next Thursday.